hate when people are like looking in from across the street and you're just like, yeah, I'm filming. So what? Don't look at me. Hey everyone, Miranda here. So today I have a thoughts on video for The One by Kiera. The last book in the selection trilogy / series, which now it's turned into. Yay! If you haven't read like the trilogy / series, I don't know what you're doing here, but this is the last book and I don't want to spoil you. But I have a review of the selection and also the elite, and I'll leave it down below so you can go check it out. They're awesome books about a girl called America Singer goes into the selection, which is like a bachelor style competition to win Prince Maxon's heart. If you don't want to be spoiled, I suggest that you click out. Let's talk The One. I'm going to start off by saying that this book was just a bunch of fun for me to read. I don't know what about this series I love so much. Even though America was one of the frustrating characters of all time, I really enjoyed reading this trilogy. I don't know how I enjoyed it, because usually me, if I got really frustrated with the character, I put the book down, I wouldn't read it, but I don't know what made me continue reading on this trilogy, but I'm so glad I did. The One. She's the one. Of course we know that America is gonna win this thing, but we want to know how she ends up winning this thing. The cover is beautiful though. I mean, I dig that wedding dress. I find it really nice. Like, she's always like doing something. America can never keep her arm still. Must come with a temper tantrum. I thought that America would be done choosing between Aspen and Maxon, but a bit of this book she was still freaking choosing between Aspen and Maxon, and I felt like just shoving her towards Maxon and saying, go! I felt like maybe this trilogy could have been more kind of in the one-ish book or two, maybe a trilogy. It just got extended out a bit too much. I would have loved to know more about the dystopian society, maybe more about these rebels. I felt some things I wanted to be expanded on so much more, and all we really got, even in the final book, was
America Singer, America, I need more time.
You didn't really get more knowledge, more backstory about other things that were happening in a life that I wanted to know. I just didn't care anymore about Aspen or Maxon. I just choose Maxon. I thought that whole thing with like, you know, the Northern Rebels was really cool. Like August and was it Georgia, something like that. She was really cool. I loved how they came. They wanted peace and they just wanted to talk, and they aimed at Maxon, not the king, because you know Maxon, when you put him in a room, you can talk to him. I felt like I was finally getting through to these people, that they actually maybe for once just communicate with one another without fighting or walking out of a freaking room. America kind of ends up walking out of the freaking room. I think the palace and the guards are just doing a really bad job. How did like they both get in the first place? And also the fact that at that tea party, Georgia was there and the guards didn't even realize that was her. Like these guards are doing a really bad job at guarding this friggin' palace, especially at the end, but we'll talk about that later. We find out that America's dad was involved in the Northern Rebels, and that's why she's named America. They have connections, but you know when like we found out that Chris was a Northern Rebel, I'm just like, yeah, and then she's like, oh,
Don't tell anyone.
and America's like,
I'm debating about whether to tell Maxon.
dude, your father was one. Nah, that's just gonna come back to you. Lucky she didn't open her mouth. Guards are even doing like a worse job. How Maxon and America ended up smuggling themselves out of the castle to go get a message to August. Couldn't like you send a letter or something to Aspen and Aspen delivers it? Like you had to go yourselves. You had to nearly get shot. I had enough of guns in this book. Oh, it was so cute though how they met that little girl called Paige. Well, she wasn't really little, but I felt like she's like a little girl, and gave her a job. That was good. Wasn't necessary though that we had to go all the way back to Aspen's room when they came back, and then like you saw all the love letters that he had written to him, kind of a bit stalkerish. I would have been like, and then Maxon was all questioning Aspen, and it's just like really awkward. America can't even keep her freaking decisions. Remember how she was just like, oh, she got that piece of jewelry from Maxon that was so simplistic and so lovely, and in the convicting she ended up giving it to that thief, which I thought was a bit ridiculous that he was going to be put in jail for his whole freaking life just for stealing clothes for his kids. Where's the humanity in that? I mean, wouldn't you be putting someone in jail that's like killed someone? These people are really confusing, I tell you.
I'm never gonna throw it away.
Next minute.
Just take it all, just take it all.
be a Celeste, you know, rip off that dress. Like, she can't even hold on to that decision. She's so wishy-washy and it's just so annoying. Celeste, she was like the big, oh my god, when she was crying in the library. Now, I did feel sorry for her, but I'm so glad she got to open up and be more of herself. It was awesome. We finally got to love her. Why couldn't she be like that from the beginning? No, because we needed a bitch character. That's why she was like that. I really loved how they had that day with the Queen and America's like,
I'm gonna brush your hair.
they ended up taking photos with the Queen. I thought that was so beautiful. It's freaky how those photos ended up being on Maxon's wall. It's almost as if like Maxon, Pretty Little Liars style, had this like massive pinboard of photos. Maybe even in revenge, like, I'm gonna get you next, I'm gonna get you next. This is why I think that people really need to communicate in this book. Of course, everyone tends to go to Maxon because Maxon's like the easier one to communicate out of. When the king started like pushing Maxon to like get rid of America and not making his own decisions, oh, I just felt like killing the king myself. I would have come through the book and just like killed the king. But what made me even more pissed off was that America didn't own up to loving Maxon. When they were in the rain on that freaking roof, because America wanted to go outside just to see the bloody rain, and they started dancing and kissing, just say I love you then, it would have been the perfect moment. Maxon does not have to say I love you first. It doesn't work that way. The guy doesn't have to say I love you. Even though us girls, we like the guy to say it first, and I know Ted would do. But no, America, you could say it first the whole time, because then it wouldn't have made Maxon think twice about your relationship and think, oh my god, shit, does she love me? And the whole thing just goes around in circles. They end up spending the night together. She didn't lose her virginity in this book, which I'm very surprised with, because usually in the third book, the girl loses her virginity, and it always happens. It's just a thing, but she didn't, and I was proud of her. The next morning, Aspen comes in, and he kind of springs them in bed together, and I can just imagine his shocked expression. It would have been the funniest shit in the world. Of course, this is where I think characters need to communicate. America gets so, oh my god, I have to tell Maxon. She should just told him in the very beginning. Why? And then Maxon was around the corner when America came out of the room and told Aspen what happened. Maxon's just like, takes her into the room, they have this convo, and it's like,
no, I'm marrying Chris now.
and he storms out. He just turns into a freaking America, and then America ends up crying, and it's just, Maxon was so stupid in that moment. Of course, America, by the end of the book, finally got over her feelings for Aspen when she put that freaking jar back and was able to take on her feelings for Maxon. I knew I wanted a death in this book. I knew it was gonna happen, but it was a slaughterhouse. It was like Kiera just came in, ripped Dresser with a sword and just went so many people were freaking killed by the end of it. The king went, thank God. I was happy about that. Queen went. Well, you didn't have to kill Queen Amberley. She was just lovely. That's just selfish. Anna was gone. The freaking maid, she just disappeared. We don't even know where she went. She probably died. Celeste was freaking shot. That you didn't have to shoot her after she freaking winked. Like, so her dad died. Her dad was such an unnecessary death. I mean, it's like Maxon in America had to lose all their parents except America's mum in the one go. Legit, it was just like bang, 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 bang. Oh. Then again, the guards are doing such a bad job at keeping the castle in order, because how the hell did those other guards get in? What if you're a guard in the castle and then you're like talking to the other guards? You know, wouldn't you realize that that guard is not a guard that you end up working with? Maxon needed to jump in front of a bullet and get shot to physically say to America,
I'm sorry, I love you and I want you back. I'm sorry for what I did.
No, you should have just, you shouldn't have taken a bullet, Maxon. America goes warrior style. She rips that dress. She goes in that safe room that Aspen puts her in, which Aspen nearly dies, but she ends up saving his life, of course. Tries to get out, she can't get out, till she ends up that she does get out. She goes to the prince's room, and then Maxon proposes to her. What a lovely proposal. He could have proposed to her way earlier, and half of this stuff wouldn't have happened. But she finally says yes, so thank God. She wasn't like wishy-washy on that decision. We kind of like skip a million months of depressing stuff till we get to the wedding. I thought it was beautiful. However, why Aspen walks you down the aisle? If I had my ex walk me down the aisle, I would find it so awkward. It wouldn't matter how we were, if we were friends, if we were enemies. Don't do that. Have your mum walk you down the aisle. I don't even know why she didn't have her mum walk her down the aisle. It would have been the logical thing to do, because it may have been beautiful when Aspen put her hand in Maxon's. At least Aspen was with Lucy, thank God. Go with Lucy, I hate you, I don't want to, just go with Lucy. It ended really nicely, and then I just thought, yeah, okay, it's the end. But no, we have the hair, which is the next book, which is told from the perspective of their daughter. I do love this world, but then I don't love it. If America was a different character, if maybe America was more rebellious, more kick-ass, more like a slash between a Celeste and a bit of an America in her like good decisions when she's like normal and not like wishy-washy. Maybe a bit of a Marley, like all in a one. I hope you enjoyed my rant on the one. Tell me your thoughts. Did you laugh? Did you cry? At the very end, did you get really annoyed in America? Tell me, and leave them down below. I'd love to know. I'm Miranda. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.